So
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for
Sheesh.
being here. We'll do sort of an abridged talk because we had a wonderful, nearly hour-long chat with Jesper Kidd. We talked all about video games and scoring. It was really great. So, but since this is the Sync Awards, we're going to stick with Sync. We're going to stick with music for screens, as we call it at Variety. And Niall, I'll bet a lot of people don't know, one, that you have a history with video games. You started a company that released video game soundtracks, some of the most successful.
A lot of them with Jesper.
Yeah, exactly. Including like the Halo franchise. What else did you guys do?
Yeah, I've obviously Hitman and Assassin's Creed. I'm trying to give Jesper props. I feel really bad about missing that. But anyway, yeah. I've done every Halo except for the last couple. But Microsoft wrote me a letter a couple of months ago saying, "We want you back. Please come back."
Excellent.
I've done God of War, Gears of War. So many I honestly can't even remember. I mean, we literally distribute hundreds of titles.
Wow. Well, what made you want to get into the video game soundtrack
Okay,
business?
this is really simple. How many of you are in the rock and roll business? Not as many as I would have thought, but okay.
Well, this is the Sync Summit.
Yeah, okay, got it. But if you were in the rock and roll business, you would know that one of the great distractions, and also it's sort of like cleaning your palate. If you're eating a meal and you want to clean your palate, you get writer's block sometime. And the best way, at least I've found, to cure writer's block is you go and you do something totally different. And boy, it just shows you how old I am. We used to have to walk down to the arcade. I know some people go, "Arcade, what's that?"
No, they're
Is
very
it-
popular here in
Oh,
Toronto.
okay. Oh, really?
Yes. There's that place Tilt.
All right, I'm moving to Toronto then. So I won't be old school anymore. I'll be cool. So we would go to the arcade, and we would just clear our minds, basically like clear our palates, because all of a sudden we'd be playing all these 8-bit boop, 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 boop type of games, and that would be the complete antithesis of our big, full bandwidth, gigantic recording sessions. And we'd go back, and all of a sudden our minds were clear and fresh. And then when we were on the tour bus, either you watch the same 3 or 4 stupid movies over and over and over and over again, Spinal Tap, Eddie Murphy, Raw, something like that. Yeah, my butt be, whatever. Like 4 videos, or you would play early video games. So when I first started the company, I used to say that video games go with rock and roll like supermodels and the other stuff. But but it's almost sort of like built into the DNA of the music business, especially from the touring and recording side.
Okay. And also, I feel like, sort of like the way Chic had this mysterious identity, you too have this mysterious identity where you've done so much film scoring. If you look on NILE ROGGERS' IMDb page, first of all, it'll scroll forever, but it has so many movies that you probably didn't know he worked on. Like,
Because they sucked.
No, Coming to America.
Well, that one didn't
Fantastic. Earth Girls Are Easy, I liked.
suck. That one didn't suck.
Okay, Beverly Hills Cop 3, maybe not.
Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, Thelma and Louise definitely did not suck. So we were talking to Jesper in the previous session about the difference between writing for film and video games, which is the difference essentially between writing for the story or the narrative versus a character.
Right.
So how would you describe the difference?
So it's interesting. Jesper and I had a great rap, and we talked about this. And I says, most people they don't really understand the difference because typically when they're experiencing whatever that form of electronic entertainment is, at that point it becomes linear, right? So you're just seeing it go along. So, something else. I just got to lay this on you because I know you don't know this, and it's not in IMDb. I've done more Nike television spots than probably any other composer. I'm pretty sure that I've done about 40 or 50 in the early days of David Fincher, before he became David Fincher. We did all those early Just Do It spots. I did tons and tons and tons, and it's a similar mindset. You have to. We're always going for emotion, be it heartfelt emotion, be it excitement, be it humor. But that's the thing, and typically what we're working with is a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, regardless as to how short it is or how long it is. And I take that approach every single time. Even now, I'm doing like the pneumatics for the History Channel, and same thing. And I tried to convince them. I said, "No, man, like look at how brilliant CNN pneumatic is, or how brilliant HBO is with that." It's like that's telling a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that's how every good composer sees this. So when it comes to doing film scores or sync, the great genius composer Ennio Morricone, he explained to me one day, his English is not so great, and my Italian sucks pretty hard too. But we were somehow able to communicate because, music is that language. So he says to me, and please, Ennio, if you see this, don't get mad at me, but I'm doing my best Ennio Morricone imitation. He says, "So, Nile, every day I make a motif. Every day I write a motif because I do not know what piece of film is going to make this genius." So he writes something from his heart. Even if he doesn't have a project that he's working on, he writes something from his heart. And that's what I wanted to talk to Jesper about. And I am so damn sorry that I am late, because I knew that there would be something in his life, that we write something from our heart. And we realize that once you see it up on the screen, all of a sudden it's telling a story. Now, you may not have meant to tell that particular story, but because you wrote this music from passion and from your heart, it actually makes sense. I had a situation, I hope I'm not dominating here, but
No, it is your talk.
I had a situation once where I was doing this film, Coming to America, and it was thank you. It was traumatic. I've still not gotten over it. At the beginning of the movie, and it's written into the script, that the movie opens with this song called "The Lion Sleeps Tonight." Now, "The Lion Sleeps Tonight" was done by a South African artist, and black South Africans didn't have any rights, so they couldn't get copyrights or what have you. You couldn't steal from them and be busted because they had no rights, so you could just take it. So the word for lion, which also translates to the word for king, is, my pronunciation is Mbobwe. And somebody wrote, "Awimowe, awimowe, awimowe, awimowe. In the jungle, the quiet jungle, the lion sleeps tonight." So that was written into the score. That was going to be the beginning of the film. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory here. Eddie Murphy had seen this film called The Man Who Saw Tomorrow, and it was about the quatrains of Nostradamus. And in this film, they actually said, "We're going to give you the date of the great earthquake where California falls into the Pacific Ocean." Eddie Murphy saw that film and believed it. I said, "Eddie, it's David L. Wolper. It's all bullshit. It's not true. It's just entertainment." But no matter what, he was the biggest movie star in the world, bigger than Tom Cruise at the time. And Paramount allowed him to film all of his principal photography and have it end by a certain date so he can get out of California before it fell into the ocean.
Oh my God.
Totally true. I do not make up stories. Totally true. And plus, it's my friend. He'd be pissed off. So we had to film all of Eddie's stuff before before California fell into the ocean. Of course, my logical next thing would have been, yo, Eddie, if California falls into the ocean, the movie's not coming out anyway, so what's the big deal? But anyway, so I basically lived on the Paramount set, and I would film, I would score dailies. They would shoot the scene, and before they would break down whatever set they were working on, they would shoot it, develop the film. This was still film. Develop the film, give me the film. I'd have to go score it, and then he'd say, okay, that's a wrap. We're now moving on to the next setup. That's how that movie was made. No kidding. The whole film was made like that. So every day I'd go and sit in and watch dailies, and I'd hear, in the jungle, the quiet jungle. So the movie would open up, the Paramount logo, the mountain there. The camera would go above the mountain, behind the mountain, across the African veldt, into the front of the palace, down the corridor, into the prince's bedroom, and he'd wake up. I'd watch this shit every day. He'd wake up and he'd go, "Good morning, Your Highness. Today is your 21st birthday." "Ah, it is my 21st birthday." And I was like, and when they would show it to the test audience, people would laugh. Finally, I said to John Landis, "You know, John, this is Eddie Murphy's first movie where he's not a dazzling urban character who uses urban wiles to get out of the situation. The only way we can sort of tell his backstory is if we use those first opening minutes. Let's put it in the Zulu language so that at least when he first opens his mouth and speaks English, what do the people know? He at least speaks 2 languages. Yeah, he is a prince. He's cool. He's smarter than we are. He speaks this language that we can't speak, and he speaks English perfectly." "You're a fucking idiot. You need to take filmmaking 101. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what it..." And I said, "You know what? I took Black 101. And I'm going to tell you something. I remember when Richard Pryor, who was a really funny comedian, put him on par with Eddie Murphy. He did a serious movie when I was a kid, and we went to see the movie. He probably did a great job, but every time we saw him in something that looked like a funny situation, all the black people laughed. All the white people looked around at us and were like, what's wrong with these guys? The poor guy is laying in traction and blah, 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 and they're cracking up. And I said, because we don't have enough black movie stars where the default character could be black. "Ah, you don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy." So I went to the head of the studio and I said, "Look, he's making a huge mistake here. I know it's funny, and I know when you're a comedian or when you're making a comedic movie, the laughs are the most important thing." I says, "But all stories need a beginning, a middle, and an end, and all stories need to have an emotional connection. Laughs are great. Don't get me wrong. I want people to on the floor." I said, "But let's give up that first laugh so we can love Eddie Murphy, so we can love Prince Hakeem." The head of the studio said, "You know, it sort of makes sense." And I never made a real big, gigantic movie in my life where I had 120, I had a symphony orchestra that was bigger than like any, it's like, wow, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir plus a symphony orchestra. And I was just in my element. I was having the time of my life conducting and writing for all this. So come one day, I had already recorded this. I had flown these guys in from South Africa. God knows how much it cost. And we did a great session. And film opens up. Okay, I will wrap up. You're right. I am long-winded. But hey, it was a long flight. Film opens up. Paramount Mountain is there. Camera goes in over the top of the mountain, behind the mountain, across the African veldt, down there. Happy birthday, Your Highness. Today is your blah, 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 blah. But meanwhile, before that, instead of him in the jungle, John Landis is sitting in his director's chair, and all of a sudden he hears nothing except these beautiful Zulu voices go, Himboe, ah, Himboe, ah, Himboe, ah, Himboe, ah, Himboe, ah. And then does all the same camera stuff up to, today is your 25th birthday, honey. And I was ready to get fired. I couldn't wait because he was screaming at me. I thought, you're fucking fired. Get out of here. Get off my set. Get out. And he went, you're a genius. That's why you're fucking Nile Rodgers. I love it. It's great. It's great. It's amazing. I'm sorry. And that was it. That was the only apology I got. And it was like, carry on. I still got a bunch. If you could look on my NileRodgers.com, you'll see a bunch of arguments. That's not Rossini. What are you talking about? But anyway.
Excellent. Well, unfortunately, we do have to wrap up. But thank you, Niall, for
one
making
story.
it. I know. I wanted to ask you if we could take 2 minutes, because that movie came out in 1988, so it's 30 years. And this year, Black Panther came out. Have we made progress in 30 years?
You mean culturally and stuff like that?
Musically with the movie? I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I did see it. I liked it a lot because everybody kept telling me, no, they ripped off a lot of your cues in that movie. I actually didn't really think so. But I liked the movie a lot. I think it was terrific. And I think that the world you guys live in now is so much better because you have so many more tools and so many more resources. Like I'm scoring a big Disney film. I talked to Jesper. I said, I'm scoring a big Disney film right now. It won't come out for another 2 years because the animation is so complicated. It's so next level. But I still have to make this stuff now because there are going to be dance scenes and all sorts of really cool stuff that they then now have to animate to my music. And in the old days, they would use temp stuff, and then we'd have to now,
make it fit, basically.
We'd have to go along with the temp.
Right.
Whereas now, it's sort of like what they're asking me to do is I do it first, and then they put the animation to my actual music, which I actually think is a cool idea. But as a composer, we'd rather fix their stuff than have them fix our stuff. But
All right. Well, now we really do have to wrap up because I'm getting dirty looks from the side.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.